Hi guys, it's John here, and today just doing a little bit of an impromptu video. I've seen a few people on the Twitter has done this recently, and I'll be splitting this into a few parts. But effectively, it's a rundown of my fleet and the history behind some of the cars that are in it. I hope you find this interesting. It is like a video slideshow as opposed to actual moving video. But the end goal is to get a video of all of my cars on my YouTube channel. Thanks to everyone that has supported me so far. Please like, please subscribe, and please follow me on Twitter. It's at John Coupland, all one word. And we'll start then, as we mean to go on, with a few ground rules. These have got to be cars that I still currently own. And they've got to be part of my collection. They can't have been sold. So these are a few that I have got. This is part one, and these are up to a certain date and include a certain range as well. So we'll start where we began with this. This is my Nissan Micra. It is a 1 litre K11 Sport. It is a W Reg 2000 plate. And my dad bought me this as my second car. My first car was a Nissan Micra also. It was an M-Reg, M2780MO. This is W232 MFP, affectionately known as My Fairy Princess. And here it is in my dad's yard. He had a Nissan garage, and you can see it there in all its glory. Okay, so here again it is in dad's yard. W232 MFP. You can see the sport badge at the bottom here. Sport Crystal of Boston, that was Dad's garage that he worked at. And you can see some pre-delivery vehicles here as well as MG ZR there. You've got some Nissan Notes and a Kia here as well, and a Ford. These photographs then taken 2009. Which is when I got the car. Here's another side view of it. You can see that it still hasn't had its sort of centre caps popped in there. We've got centre caps and bits and pieces. It does look a little bit different nowadays. This has been off the road since 2015, but it is still in my collection. And here it is from the side again. Flame red. And the interior. You can see I've got an aftermarket stereo in there, but I have got the genuine stereo still boxed up. So that's my effectively first car. I got it with 24,000 miles on the clock, and it came from the original owner, and now it's got 100 and something. Again, been off the road for 7 years. But it's still good, and one day it will be back on the road and it will be recommissioned. Maybe next year it might be going to the Festival of the Unexceptional 2023. But I wanted something that was a little bit different. I wanted a classic car, and so I bought this, which is my 1985 Toyota MR2 Mark 1A. It is totally stock standard. There's nothing on or in the car that shouldn't be there, right down to the original toolkit. I saw this for sale on a driveway under a tarpaulin. I initially thought it was a TR7. I approached the chap, my girlfriend at the time. This was on the driveway next door. Here it is. This is what it looked like when I got the car. It needed a bit of love, needed some love around the wheel arch here, around the bottom of the doors here. Had these stupid wheels on. It needed a little bit of love. But as you can see, I took the time to give it some love, and it looks very good now. There it is from the other side. And the interior as well. It took me days and days to get dog hair out of this car. I think there must have been a dog living in it at some point. The things you can see in here that I've replaced since I've bought it is the original gear knob. That was missing. The original stereo, that was missing. I have got original mats. These mats are in here for a show. But yeah, that's the interior of my MR2. And then I met Mrs. John Coupland, and she didn't like the Micra. because those two were my cars at the time. He wanted something a little bit posher. So I bought this. Posh, right? An Audi A4. It is a 2000 plate Audi A4 B5. I still have it. It was my daily from 2015 to about 2019. Bought with 32,000 miles on the clock from the original owner. It's a local car. It's Boston Audi. It was spec'd with different alloys with these side rings down the side. 6 CD changer and a boot spoiler. The original owner loved it very much, as do I. So there it is. This is pretty much as I first got it. But
It's the 1.6 version. That's my Audi A4. As I say, got that with 32,000 miles on the clock. I ran it. It's got 80,000 miles on the clock now. It gets used very sparingly. And then I bought this. This is, or was, my first toy car, I suppose. My MR2 was something I wanted to buy for my well-being. I was struggling with my mental health at the time. And so I bought my MR2 to focus on. This came from my friend's sister. She got this for her 21st birthday, hence the number plate TT for Kate. Her name is Kate. It was sat in her garage, or her mum and dad's garage, for a few years when she went off to university and life and moved in with boyfriend and this, that and the other. She then moved away to Germany. I'd always loved the car. I'd always said to her, when you want to sell that car, let me know. I was at a point in my life where I had some disposable income and was able to buy it for a reasonable price. And I want to point some things out on this car. It is a velvet violet, the colour. Lots of people will think, oh, it's Merlin purple. It's not. It's a custom colour. It was spec'd by her at Stockport Audi. And you can see on this picture that we've got an alternative grille. It was spec'd with the Caractère front grille, which is what this badge is. It was spec'd with 18-inch stainless steel ATP alloy wheels, which is what you can see. And, of course, has the Recaro seats as well, which you mainly see on the QS Sport model. And the elusive cup holder is here as well. I have a cup holder in there as well. It doesn't get used, is the honest answer. I very rarely use it. It's a bit of a toy. It's got 64,000 miles on the clock, but it is very loved and is one of the things that I am genuinely pegging to be one of a future classic car in the future. Now, this is a nice photograph, isn't it? Actually, you can see quite a few of my collection on my driveway. And how things have changed. The house and everything has changed since then. We've done a lot of building work. But in the background there, a Nissan Bluebird, one I sold. It went to Craig Cheetham, that one. If you know Craig, he is a motoring journalist. He bought that off me. And you can see in the background, this is John Coupland's car, my smart car, and my Audi there. And that brings us on nicely to Mrs. John Coupland's car, which is this. Bold, isn't it? It is a 2010 Fiat 500. It's the Lounge Edition. It's a 1.2 litre engine. One of 500 they made in this special pink edition. We were forced to buy Mrs. John Coupland a new car. She had a Peugeot 207 Sport. It was beautiful. I loved it. And that's interesting considering I'm not normally a fan of French cars. But somebody decided to T-bone us, and we needed to get a car very quickly. Mrs. John Coupland had fallen in love with these little bugs, as she calls them, and originally went to look at a yellow one at a dealer. It was a mess. It was a lot of money, and I said, let me find you one, and I found this. Of course, I like my rare models, which is why I picked it up. It's not perfect. It needs some love. There's dints and marks, and the alloys are terrible. But actually, for having about 60-something thousand miles on the clock, it goes really well, and it keeps Mrs. John Coupland happy as well. This is a recent picture of it gleaming in the sunshine. I'd given it a scrub that day. And that leads us on nicely to Purple Bug. This is my Purple Smart. As you can see, it says Purple Smart on the front bumper here. And I bought this purely to commute to work. It was a Facebook Marketplace find. I like weird and wacky cars, can you tell? And I paid under £1,000 for it with 46,000 miles on the clock. It had been a bit neglected. It needed some love. But the lady I bought it from, she couldn't drive it anymore. She was struggling to drive. So I picked it up, gave it a good old clean, good old seeing to, and actually, it's my daily drive.
Which is interesting. People get in and go, how on earth do you do that? But actually, I quite enjoy it. And we've just ticked over 80,000 miles now. So in the past 4 or 5 years, I've done 40-odd thousand miles in it, which has been mostly drama-free. Here it's from the top, in the purple, and here it is again from the side. So it was KT04KTK, the number plate. I've got my personalised number plate on there, 999JPC, which is my initials. And this is my very first Proton that I bought. Yeah, isn't it? And this is what started my love for Protons here in the UK. I'm sure you will know by now that I love my Protons. This is Jeff. You can probably tell it's Jeff because of the number plate. I bought this from Car and Classic the day before Mrs. John Coupland and I were meant to be going away to Florida. It was listed for sale in Skegness locally. I'd never seen one before, and I thought I had to have that. So I went across and I bought it. This is a 1.5 SE LE, and as far as I'm aware, there's only a couple of these left. There's mine and one up north somewhere. Jude Curry knows where it is. He's spotted it. He does his car spotting. It's off the road and it's not in fantastic condition. So sadly, I think it's either going to pop up for sale and be enjoyed. Potentially, I'll buy it if I do spot it, just to have both of them. But the other alternative is it's probably going to end up getting scrapped. So this is quite a special car, really, in that it is a two-owner car. Muhammad Ali from the Proton Owners Club saved it from going to scrap back in about 2014, and it's obviously now in my custody, and I love it very much, and I look after it. There it is from the top. And there it is from the inside. Things you'll spot about the SELE is that it's the top of the range. You've got dimmers and all sorts of stuff. Headlight dimmers, dash dimmers. You've got the Blaupunkt stereo with rear speakers. You can see the rear speakers in the back there and there. You've got nice cloth seats and monogrammed headrests with LE and floor mats with LE as well. They're in fantastic condition. Covering, I think it's just covered 30,000 miles, this one. This is, in inverted commas, my most famous car. When people say my name, I suppose, on Twitter or anything like that, I'm most commonly known for my Protons and, of course, my Proton Black Knight. It's the only one left in the world. Take a look at it, because that is the only one of them left in the world. Now, I say that like it's some sort of massive achievement. It is a little bit, in that it's the last one, but it is a 1.5 GL with decals down the side. Now, decals are quite cool. You can see we've got this knight that comes down the side here. We've got decals on the wheels there. It won the Festival of the Unexceptional. There's a few people I know here. Hello. If you know yourself in the video, please tag yourself. We've got James, and we've got Mark, and we've got Danny there as well, and a few other people whose names I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm so sorry, the chat with the Volvo. But there I am with the Proton Black Knight, and we won. We won the Festival of the Unexceptional 2021, and that really shot the Proton to fame. Here's a nice photograph that Matt Howell took of the interior, and as you can see, it is like new. It's got 13,000 miles on the clock.
and I bought it from a local gentleman who rescued it again. Similar story. It ended up on eBay. It sold quite cheap. If it hadn't come to me, I don't know what would have happened to it. I know that sounds really arrogant, but when it was pulled out of the garage and went on eBay, it got something like 3,000 miles on the clock. And obviously 10,000 miles has been racked on there. People using it and enjoying it. I can't begrudge them with that, but now it's with me. It's very pampered, and it has 13,000 miles on the clock. And it's quite lucky in that this is the RAC Rotunda, the Royal Automobile Club Rotunda in Pall Mall. This is their clubhouse. You come off the Pall Mall, through these doors, up these stairs, and
next to the cups and trophies of British motorsport. And it was celebrated there for 2 months. And that's one of my proudest moments. I won't lie, it sounds silly. But having my car on display there was a real surreal experience. And actually, when I think about it now and look back, it's the only, and probably will only be, the only Proton to be on display there. Probably the most mundane car that's ever been on display there. And for me personally, I don't think I'm going to ever get anything else in the RAC Rotunda. And when you think that it's often F1 cars or Porsches or Aston Martins or really high-end vehicles that are on display there, that's an absolute honour for me. This is my latest Proton, I should say. It's a 1.3 GE. One owner from new. It is totally stock standard base spec. There's no clock, there's no radio, there's no speakers, there's no aerial, there's no passenger's wing mirror. It really is basic. I bought this from Wales. It came from Philog Garage. It was owned by Mr. Knight. Think of what you will. The world works in mysterious ways. And it's got 17,000 miles on the clock. It popped up on the Proton Owners Club. The gentleman had passed away, and somebody was looking to make a quick buck, is the honest answer. And I paid him quite handsomely for it, but I had to have it for my collection. There it is from the back. It's not perfect. Again, it's not as good as the Black Knight or the LE, but I wanted to save it. Done some bits and pieces to it, given a damn good clean, bit of a service, made sure that the lights don't leak, had a good old tidy up. There's still things left to do. You can see that the wheels need sorting out, and the interior needs a bit of a clean. But there's the interior. It's totally basic. Blanking plates where everything should be. No nothing. And when you contrast that with my Black Knight, which is middle of the range, and my LE, which is top of the range, it's very interesting to see the difference in the trim levels. Here's the engine bay. It's got the Magma 12 valve engine. It's the later one. It's an MPI. And we move on to this then, which is a very special car to me. I bought this like an absolute wally, sight unseen, in lockdown, off Car and Classic, as you do, from an elderly gentleman. And actually, I thought I'd been scammed. I paid for the car first. It was stupid, I know. I paid a deposit, and then I paid the balance on the car, and it arrived. There was a sleepless night where Mrs. John Coupland has said, you've been scammed and you've spent too much money for a car you haven't seen. And here it is. It's a 1949 Armstrong Siddeley Lancaster. I'd always wanted an Armstrong Siddeley. My grandfather had one before I knew him. He died before I knew him. And my mum spoke quite highly of this Armstrong Siddeley that he used to own. And this popped up for sale on Car and Classic. Very reasonable price, as I say. And I bought it sight unseen. We use it for weddings. This was kitted out for a friend's wedding recently. It is very basic, but actually it's a lovely car. It was £900 new in 1949. Doesn't sound a lot now, does it? 900 quid. But when you put it into perspective, that was a lot of money. It was restored in the 70s by Bert Chandler. He was a mechanical engineer. And it's had a little bit of a retrim inside. It's got PVC interior.
And if you like what you see with regards to the Lancaster, Steph, my good friend Steph from My Driver Classic, has done a video on it. Head on over to her channel. I'll pop a linky in there and one of these pop-up things, fancy pop-ups, if you want to have a look at that. This is my van, because vans are cool and everyone needs a van. It says Royal Snail on the side. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't get me in trouble. The Royal Mail know about it. They're aware that the van exists. They have no issues with it. And it looks better than this now, because actually this is before I got all the wheels and everything refurbished and the Fletton event on the top sorted out. I bought it for 250 quid from a friend who bought it from a person who breeded dogs or bred dogs. It had cages and all sorts of stuff in the back. I stripped all them out, and it is the most useful, versatile thing ever. And it really gives me some freedom. I love my van. I take it to work. It sits in our car park. People take the mick out of it. And there it is from the back. Royal Snail Van on Twitter and Instagram, by the way, if you want to follow it. There is a reason behind Royal Snail. It was a Royal Mail van. The paint is damaged where the Royal Mail logo was, and so I've put Royal Snail on there to A, cover it up, and B, it makes people smile. We're nearly there for this part of the video. Thanks for staying with me. This is one of my latest acquisitions. It's another K11 Micro. I saw this for sale recently on Car and Classic. It is a 1 litre S model. It is a one owner from new CVT, and it is an automatic with the CVT, and it's covered 13,000 miles from new. It is like a new car. It really is. It drives an absolute dream. There's no knocks and bangs. The elderly lady who owned it, bought it from new, passed away recently, and it popped up for sale, and I had to have it. So it's now in my collection. I bought it for the Festival of the Unexceptional 2023 as an entry, only later to be told that it was actually too late. So it's a 51 plate, and it's not pre-2000, so I can't enter it in the Festival of the Unexceptional, which was gutting, but nevertheless it's still beautiful to have, and I'm going to preserve it as a future museum piece. I know that sounds daft, but it deserves to be loved and looked after, so there it is. There's the interior. As you can see, it's brand new. The door shuts are immaculate. And it's got its original mats and everything like that. You can just see the mileage peeking through there. 13,071. That 71 is me driving it home. But yeah, it really is something special. Engine bay. And there it is on the front there. Dad's Peugeot 406 in the background. And another one there as well. Let's on to this video then. It's my most recent acquisition. I bought it a couple of weeks ago. It's the latest thing on the channel. I'm sure you've seen it. It is an Audi A4 B5. Again, like my green one. I was contacted by a gent who wanted to sell this. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I was contacted by a gent who was going to scrap this and offered me it for the scrap price so I could buy it for parts for my car. I took the train to Blackpool. I drove it home. Legally, of course, I insured it. It was all taxed and MOT'd. MOT runs out next week. And it's too good to scrap. So I'm currently in the process of getting it back on the road, getting a new MOT on it. And it will be leaving the collection because I don't need to, but it was good to save. There it is again. And the interior. This interior, as you can see, is loved. I haven't done anything with it yet. It needs a good old hoover out and clean. But there it is. That is my latest acquisition. Interesting, isn't it? You look at all the cars, all the bits and pieces, and think, what on earth am I doing? I have a very eclectic taste, I know. If you've enjoyed the video, there will be a part 2 with some more, and then we might do another video as well, which is cars that I have sold, that I've rescued, and where they've gone, a bit of a follow-up to that. If you've liked the video, please like and subscribe. You can always follow me on Twitter as well. It's at John Coupland, all one word, with more goodies, and we'll be posting things from the collection soon. Thanks for your time. Genuinely appreciate it. And whatever you're doing, have a great rest of the day.